Hey guys, the Commander Casual here. We're playing our Belbe 666 deck, or rather our Belbe 6 drops deck. And we've kind of got a good start, but we're missing a land. So we'll see how this goes. I had to mulligan down to 6 already too, because my other two hands were crap. So we'll start off with the Vicious Conquistador, who's one of our little guys that pings everybody. So we're potentially off to a good start. Hopefully I draw a forest. That'd be great, or a green source in general, and then we can get Belbe turn two, and then like Oblivion Sower or Endbringer. I'd probably Oblivion Sower over Endbringer, but we'll see as the moment comes, or if it doesn't. We do have another land at least, but we'd really like that green source. So we're playing against Grismold the Dreadsaur. So I've been wanting to build a deck around this guy for a while because I got him in some of the sealed commander product. Really a big fan of Grismold. So he's a 3/3 for 3. He's a troll with trample. At the beginning of that player's end step, each player creates a 1/1 plant creature. And whenever a creature token dies, he gets a counter. So he's very, obviously made for commander, but everybody gets a token. And then whenever any token dies, he gets a counter. This guy's, yeah, I saw the vampire token and knew this guy was playing Edgar Markov because that's his eminence ability. We did not get our green source, so that's pretty sad. But we'll play our Yavimaya Hollow, and I guess we'll play Bloodchief Ascension because at least we can get a counter on it this turn. So we're not in like a horrible position, but we're definitely not where we want to be. It's a little disappointing, but that's okay. Anyway, the Grismold deck runs a whole bunch of like creature token hate, and then Grismold gets huge, and you just smash people with him. Is usually how that deck goes. Or you can run like devour based mechanics around eating your own plants or something like that. So they're usually at least they look interesting. I've never played against one. I've always wanted to make one, so I'm really excited to see what that deck has. And then it looks like this person's playing. I think I played against this person the other day. They're playing a Rakdos Lord of Riots deck, and typically that's like Eldrazi tribal kind of stuff, because with Rakdos' ability, you just run some like burn spells and you can basically cast Eldrazi for free. So you can't cast it unless somebody's lost, or an opponent's lost life that turn. He's flying trample 6/6 for 4, and then creature spells you cast cost 1 less to catch for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. So his deck's gonna try to, or I think actually it's a her. Their deck, sorry, I should say, is going to try to cause a lot of mass life loss, like ours is, and exploit that neutral mana, like ours is as well. So it's actually going to play really similarly to us, but it's in Rakdos colors, obviously, and not Golgari. Now the Edgar Markov deck is Vampire Tribal. It's not. I was going to say it's not particularly interesting. I have no complaints about Edgar Markov. I have Edgar Markov in paper. I like the deck. I like the commander. It's fun. You just get to ball out with a ton of vampire tokens because his eminence ability. So it works whether he's on the field or in the command zone. Whenever you cast a vampire, you get a free 1/1 black vampire token. And then he has first strike and haste, and whenever he attacks, you put a counter on each vampire you control. So usually you just kind of build up a huge board of vampires, and then you play Edgar, swing with everything, they all get buffed, and then you munch people. Usually there's kind of some sub-themes of life gain going on in there. But that's, pretty typical of vampires. Like, this guy's got lifelink. Lots of vampires have lifelink. Or kind of pain and drain effects. Pain and gain. Whatever. You gain life and you drain other people. This guy's playing a Nihil Spellbomb. Sacrifice it, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. When it's put in the graveyard, you can pay black and draw a card. So it's just graveyard removal. Not a bad card at all to include in Commander. I don't usually run a ton of graveyard hate. If it's relative to like an ability I'm specifically trying to run, I love having it. But I don't usually run a ton of graveyard hate. It's just a standard. But it's really not hard to throw in like a Nihil Spellbomb into a black deck, or like a, what is it, Tormod's Crypt? Crypt of Tormod? Whatever. It's just a 0 mana artifact that you can tap and sack it and exile a player's graveyard. It's a really good, easy include card, and you literally cast it for free. So, and you can get some artifact value out of it in the right deck. So, all right. So we're still not hitting the lands we want. A lot of people don't like Temple of the False God. I usually do. Right now, it's not really helping. I guess we'll play Swiftfoot Boots, because why not? I don't think we'll see a Vandal Blast from this deck yet, but, there's obviously the potential. That's a card I surprisingly don't see run a lot. Like, maybe people run it and I just don't encounter it a lot, but I really like Vandal Blast. I think that card's really good. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, it's 1 red mana. I think it's a sorcery. Destroy target artifact, or you can overload it for 5 and destroy each target artifact you don't control. So you can board wipe artifacts, but keep all your own. Like it's like Cyclonic Rift, but for artifacts specifically, and it destroys them. So I think it's really good. And I mean, artifacts are really common in Commander, especially artifact mana. So, or equipments and stuff like that. So I typically run that. But it's kind of play Griswold. Nice. So we're gonna get a plant token. Yeah, on his end step. So that's neato. The thing that's unfortunate about that is now that we, our Conquistador has 2 toughness. Awesome. I was going to say you could trade off our Conquistador, but he can't. So if he doesn't play a creature, we're just going to attack him with both. Because we'll deal 2 damage, or he'll have lost 2 life this turn, and we can put another counter on Bloodchief Ascension. This card is ridiculous, by the way. For those who don't run it in their Black Commander decks, shame, because it's so good. It's really easy to get online, especially when you cast it on turn 1. But at the beginning of each end step, if an opponent lost 2 or more life, you can put a quest counter on it. And then when, I think it needs 3 quest counters or more. Whenever a card's put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, so battlefield, library, whatever, if it has 3 or more counters on it, you can have that player lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. So it's nuts. And that racks up really quickly. Especially if you board wipe and somebody's running has a ton of cards that get wiped with it. This guy played an Indulging Patrician. Being every end step, if you gain 3 or more life, each opponent loses 3 life. Oh, that's good. I was like, I don't think I've seen this card before, and I was about to call this more of a budgety deck, but that's not a bad card at all. Man. This feels so bad. We didn't even draw a land there. Well, we can buff up the Griswold guy a little bit. I'm not offended about that. Although he has trample, so that's going to be a problem for us eventually, but man, really sucks to not hit your lands. I mean, I had a bit of a risky keep, but I already mulliganed down to 6 as well. So it's not like I was just being greedy. And this Vicious Conquistador is doing some serious damage. So the plant's going to get in here still. And because of Vicious Conquistador's ability. Oh, he probably did that just so the plants wouldn't trade. So that Griswold doesn't get that much bigger. Because every time a token dies, he gets a counter. I mean, this is a Golgari deck, so I probably won't do another Golgari deck right after it. But I'll probably have to do a Griswold deck at some point. I don't know what interesting angle I could take on it, because the two kind of ways people do it are the ways I described, which is you either run all the token hate cards, so as soon as they enter battlefield there's a bunch of death triggers which you can play off of, and Griswold gets a lot bigger, or you can kind of keep them all on your side and then use them for Devour style abilities, so you sacrifice them with a creature with Devour, and then you benefit off of whatever the Devour ability is. Right on. Our Bloodchief Ascension's online at least, so we're going to do stuff with that. Can I always yes this? No, I think it's a May ability, so I'm going to have to click yes a lot for it, but it's worth it. But yeah, this card, for a 1 mana card, this card's nuts. It takes a little setup, but not, it's not like you have to pay for the setup, it's just damage you would be doing anyway. If you can get this on turn 1 or turn 2 like we did, it's crazy. But we're going to draw some hate for it for sure. The Griswold's a problem to us though, because the commander damage is the major thing that'll stop our life gain. I'm not super worried about this guy, even though he's got a decent board state already. He's also having some land trouble, it looks like. This guy's obviously not, though. What did he just cast? Yeah, Circuitous Route. So he went and got himself a Guildgate and another land. And he's hit all his land drops so far, too, so... Maybe I can crack some kind of deal with him if I ever get to play Endbringer. I can just ping other people's plants and keep growing Griswold for him, and in agreement he can just not hurt me with it. But those kind of deals tend to work better in paper because people will just go back on them as soon as they want over the computer. But at least in paper they have to look you in the eyes as they betray you, which makes a significant difference. So I think this triggered off of... Oh, it was just giving me the counter. Yeah, so this will keep accruing counters. It doesn't really matter. Like, we're going to keep getting counters on it. It only needs 3 or more to be active, so the number of counters on it doesn't matter, but it's going to keep triggering every time there's an end step where an opponent's lost at least 2 life. That's the other fun thing, too, is you don't even have to be the source that causes the loss of life. Like, if your opponents are just attacking each other and you just slide a Bloodchief Ascension onto the field, like, it'll turn on in no time. Lobber Crew, 1 damage to each opponent. Yeah, so here's the kind of like drain effects like what we have with the Vicious Conquistador. Let's see. Man, I'd love to draw a forest next turn. That'd be sweet. So yeah, so now because he's putting away his polluted delta, like to go get a different land, he's pinging himself and we're gaining the life for it. Like this card racks up. It's crazy. And I know it's not like an uncommon card in Commander, but I'm surprised more decks don't run it because it's such an easy include. And it's almost impossible that it won't get like turned on by getting the 3 counters because it's so little effort to do it. Okay, so he went and got a Godless Shrine with his polluted delta. I don't love seeing fetch lands out of color, especially in Commander decks. Because it tends to mean that this person has like a really high-end budget. But this guy's stuff looks pretty reasonable so far. I've never seen this version of Arcane Signet, though. That's really cool. It's like a little... Is that like a fairy? Is that supposed to be like... No, it's not Una. Una looks way different than that. But... It's going to discard a card and buff his dudes. Like, luckily, it just buffs the vampires, but... Oh, it's sack a creature. For whatever reason, I was thinking it was discard, so I was wondering why my Ascension wasn't triggering, but... Misclicked my vampire token on the first one. Oh, I think he just meant to sack the plants, and he accidentally sacked a vampire. Yeah, so unsurprisingly, we're drawing some hate here. But you know, whatever. We don't. I was gonna say I was waffling on that because I was thinking save the token to try to turn on Bloodchief Ascension, but it's already on, so. And as these guys develop more of a threat and I continue to pitter out on mana, hopefully they'll decide I'm not as worthy of a threat anymore. Bloodchief Ascension is by no means, ridiculous either. Like, you literally just have to run some enchantment removal. And I'm playing against 2 different green decks, so... Oh, no, not 2 different green decks, sorry. The plants screwed me off, but this has green at least. Cool. Another card we can't cast, and no lands. We would love to draw a land. Not even a green land, just a land at this point. That'd be great. Ideally a green land, though. So sad. I started a game just before this and got like the nuts draw, like even with Vicious Conquistador, and got like a Staff of Nin on turn 2 with Belbe. It was beautiful. And we had the potential to do that again today. And it just didn't happen. So that's a little disappointing. Attack this guy. He can block all he wants. It's just to drain everybody. Or at least this vampire player is sympathetic to me. It never feels good to not draw into land. That's a feeling everybody who plays Commander, and just Magic in general, can relate with. But we'll see. The interesting thing about Commander and the dynamics of it is usually if you have kind of a crappy start, you're fine. you get your chance to recover because people are dealing with each other. And I'm hoping soon this Griswold and Vampire decks start kind of warring it out, but so far they've just been hitting me because of the Bloodchief Ascension. Ooh, Primal Vigor. So he's going to double up on his tokens. I guess that's another angle you could do with this, is just like a token deck. Well, double up on his tokens and his counters. But you could focus on just token generation so that you're spamming more plant tokens than other people are. And then as well you can focus on just running a whole bunch of other token generators. I mean, I would wager that Primal Vigor and like Doubling Season are staples for this kind of deck, because it involves counters and tokens in one card, kind of like Gov, Guru of Spores, or Gave, or however you say it. Gave, maybe. So Bloodchief Ascension is going to get another counter, which doesn't matter. And then we all get 2 tokens because of Primal Vigor. So Primal Vigor is like Doubling Season, but it applies for everybody. So whenever a token's created, twice are created. So he makes a token for himself, or he makes a token for everybody, so we all get 2. And then it's the same thing with counters. So the counters are doubled, but again, that's for everybody. So this could really like ball this vampire guy out of control. But now the Rakdos guy has got Rakdos online. So even with this, so he's done 1 damage to each opponent, right? So he can cast Rakdos because he's dealt damage to everybody. And then each creature he's cast this turn costs 3 less already because he's dealt 3 damage to his opponents. So he could play like a free, I don't know, like Burnished Heart or something like that right now. Burnished Heart's just like the 3 mana like elk creature that you can sack for 3 and go get 2 lands. Which I guarantee is in that deck because it's a good ramp source for non-green. Whether or not it's in their hand, though, is the question. Rakdos is also just a big beater. 6/6 flying and trample. And theoretically, you can play him on turn 4 with his 4 mana cost, so... Or ahead if you have some good ramp, but... Oh, yeah, and he untaps, right? Whenever you cast a multi-god spell. Okay, so now he's... Everything costs 6 less for him this turn. And he's got a mana, so theoretically he could cast a 7-drop here, or any number of neutral 6-drops. Like, say he had an Endbringer, or an Oblivion Sower. He could cast either of those for free right now. We'll see. I think I did play against this player like a couple days ago with that deck, and I remember somebody who was a friend of theirs mentioning that they were new to the game. So if they're taking a little bit longer with their turns, I'm definitely sympathetic, because Magic is not an easy game, as evidenced by my regular mistakes. So, okay, so he's going to combat. But Rakdos doesn't have haste, and I doubt he's going to throw his plants at anybody, because he'd want to keep them as blockers like I'm doing with mine. See, I'm really interested to see if this Griswold is running any of those like enchantments or whatever that give just like minus stats to tokens. Or like a Plague Crafter, you can just like name a creature type and it gets -1/-1 while Plague Crafter's out. Because the plants are just 1/1. So if he like plays a Plague Crafter, names plants, all the plants will all die simultaneously, and he'll get that many counters times 2 because of Primal Vigor. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 plants die, he gets 26 counters, and he has trample, so he'd be a 33-33, swing in for the win on somebody. So can't even block with the plants because they'll be dead. So Bloodline Keeper flips to Lord of Lineage. So I think he can just... Oh, he doesn't have enough mana, thank God. But he... 1, 2, 3... Oh, yeah, so this Primal Vigor is going to make this guy go off because he gets double the counters and double the tokens. And he is dealing with a counter and token deck as well. But luckily it's not in green, so normally he wouldn't have access to this, but he does. And nobody's putting any cards in their graveyard. So, yes, we got our green source. Alright, we're online. Let's go. Watch somebody just like remove it immediately. It'd be so gutted. So we're definitely playing Oblivion Sower, right? Or can we... No, because we can't tap Temple. I was going to say, could we bond 2 and then do it? But no. We need to play Oblivion Sower here, and we'll hit this guy, because he's most likely to have the lands we need, which is black and green. And then, you know, hopefully we'll get some more lands. And then we'll have a big dude to block with, too. Which would be nice. But I have to attack with the Conquistador here, which means he's probably going to die. I probably should have moved the Swiftfoot Boots over to Belbe just to protect her. But I didn't. I suppose I could move him over to Oblivion Sower if I wanted, but I'd rather keep the boots on Belbe. Doesn't really matter who I attack. I mean, I guess I'll attack this guy because he's just got the plant tokens. We're attacking with the Conquistador to deal damage to everybody this turn, which will trigger Belbe's like mana influx for us. Yep, my attackers are declared. Everybody's already lost the life, so we're good. See if he just blocks with a plant here, or if he blocks with 2 plants. Who knows, maybe it'll be nice and just block with a plant. Probably not, though. Yeah, that's what I figured. So our Conquistador is dead, but that's okay. Because next turn we can play the Monument, and we should be fine. Yeah, I'm not stressed about the blocking order. Put those on Belbe before I forget. And play Oblivion Sower. Target opponent being a Griswold guy. Nothing personal, dude. We just want your things. So what Oblivion Sower does, for those that don't know, when you cast him, you have to cast him. It's not an enter the battlefield, it's a cast. Target opponent exiles the top 4 cards of their library, and you may put any number of land cards that player owns from exile onto the battlefield under your control. So that's not even just the ones he exiles. If he had any others in exile, we could do it too. But he doesn't, so. But we get a Forbidden Orchard and a Bojuka Bog, which are both good for us. All lands. Okay, so we get a Bojuka Bog, so we can exile somebody's graveyard. Rakdos doesn't have any. This guy's got a Polluted Delta, so I guess we'll do it to that green player. Why not? Yield there. And then we get a big jerk. Oh, and Forbidden Orchard enters untapped, and we have... Oh, so we can still play our Bonte's Monument now. Or do we want to play Cryptolith right? And then a Bonte's Monument. Because I believe we can do that. Target opponent gets a Spirit. Who do we give it to? Who do we give it to? Let's give it to this guy. I don't have a good reason for that. So we can play Cryptolith right, which will let us tap our other creatures to play other stuff. Is why I'm doing that. And we have enough lands for Temple of the False God too, so that's pretty nice. And I'm going to tap Belbe, because I wouldn't attack with her anyway, and a plant. And we'll cast Bonte's Monument. Okay, so we've caught up a little, which is nice. Unfortunately, Cryptolith right makes it so we can't pass through anything, but that's alright. But Bonte's Monument is also our pinging tool, so we can play like Endbringer the start of next turn, or Archfiend, and then follow up with the other one. Let's see what this guy's got. I think if this guy dies, we lose these lands, which will be not fortunate, but... I'm going to yield to this turn. Because it should still prompt me to block, but I don't want to have to pass through every other phase, because I'm not trying to hold the mana up to be clever or anything. Don't attack me. Why me? Why me? Like, that's a pretty big hit if we take it, but he has trample. So we go up to 15 commander damage, provided he doesn't have something that wipes out the tokens. I don't think he does, though, because he just played Creekwood Liege for his own dudes, so... I don't feel good about this, but... Nothing's entering anybody's graveyard, so we're not getting any triggers off Blood Chief Ascension. Because everybody's largely playing, like, permanent base decks. It'd be sweet if we got, like, a big board wipe next turn. Because that would gain us a lot of life and shut down these guys really hard. Because they're all playing, like, really creature-heavy decks. I mean... We have a decently creature-heavy deck, too, but... Yield through this turn as well. Oof. I mean, the Lobber Crew is slowly pinging us down too, which is a bit of a problem. He's going to play an Anger. He has haste. As long as you control a mountain and Angers in your graveyard, your creatures get haste. Pretty good commander card. Yeah, not loving it. Charcoal Diamond. I'm guessing he just doesn't have any big creatures in hand or anything. I don't know, for a Rakdos deck, it's kind of not really going off, which usually when you see the like Rakdos Eldrazi deck, they just ball out of control really hard. Because they play like Belbe, but Belbe limits you up to like 6 mana, whereas the Rakdos deck is kind of like a sky's the limit. I don't know, they've got their post-combat main phase, so... Rakdos have flying? Yes, he does. Okay, so at least this guy's taking some big hits here. I'd love to draw like an In Garrick's Wake. I think that'd be like my dream draw here. How much mana do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think in Garrick's Wick is 9, which you could easily cast because we have Cryptoliths, right? So we can just tap some of the plants. In Garrick's Wake's one of the board wipes you run, and it's just destroy all creatures and planeswalkers you don't control. So that would just clear the board. And then we get a ton of graveyard. Well, not a ton, but we get some graveyard triggers at least for the other guys. Because, I mean, most of the creatures on the board right now are tokens still, but Belbe is also accelerating this guy even harder because he gets the Belbe mana. Yeah, there's an Eldrazi. Ulamog's Crusher. We also have a Decree of Annihilation as far as like big ticket board wipes go. I'd love to draw that as well because that would also refill our hand. Reset the board and also give us a ton of Bloodchief Ascension triggers. Like, we're not in the worst spot, but we're definitely in danger. This Griswold player is stressing us for sure. Death Mutation would be fun. Destroy it and get like a billion little sapperlings. I mean, once we play Endbringer, we can start drawing some cards too. Oh, and we can stop Griswold from attacking. I always forget about its second ability. I always just think of the pinging and the drawing and the untapping. Yeah, so for those that don't know, Endbringer. He's a 6-drop 5/5 Eldrazi. He untaps during each other player's untap step. So you can tap him and ping. You can pay 1 and tap him. And target creature can't attack or block this turn. Or you can pay 2 and tap him and draw a card. So what we can do is just like draw cards on our turn and these guys' turns. And then make Griswold not able to attack on their turn. So there's a bit of a solution. Because we should be able to cast both these guys next turn. Because this makes Archfiend cost 1 less. And I mean, we've got lots of extra mana with Cryptolith right now, so. Yeah, I think ideal draw next turn would definitely be in Garrick's Wake, though. Because we could wipe and then attack with like Oblivion Sower. Well, we could just attack, period, which would be the Belbe trigger, and then we could play afterwards. Or we'd also get the Bloodchief Ascension to trigger the Belbe thing, but we could like it would be a big turning point. Lord of Lineage has flipped, so he's a big lord for vampires. So you get to make vampires with him before he's flipped, and then once you have 5 or more, you can flip him, and he's like a 5/5 that gives other vampires +2/+2, and you can still make vampires with him. So he's just a unit. But it looks like he's pretty intent on just killing this Griswold player, which also kinda helps us out in the meantime. I mean, it's kind of on the Griswold guy for not attacking the vampire player, or for not leaving Griswold up on defense, but I guess the vampires have flying anyway, so. Yep. So now we get less mana from Belbe, which is something I always forget with this deck. Because there's only 2 opponents now to trigger. Oh, nice. Urborg. We got Nurborg. I mean, we still have Cryptolith, right? Which is great, and all these dudes. But we lost a couple of our lands, too. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 mana total. And then he's -1 to cast because he's a black creature. Does it really matter which one we cast first? I don't think so. Just wondering if I should leave this up. Did we not draw? Oh, we do the Urborg. There's 6. Triggers Bonte's Monument. So we're going to get a little bit of life back. And then, like, do we move this over and attack? I think we got to keep them on defense, right? This isn't exactly going according to plan. Yeah, and we won't be able to draw with Endbringer because we don't have that neutral mana to pay. Because I don't think these guys... Yeah, they only tap for colored mana. It's not ideal. Oh, I should have... Ah! That's my bad. I should have moved the boots over to Endbringer so we could start pinging. Because he doesn't have haste, so... Yes, we're just not quite going to get there this game, it looks like. I don't know. Let's see what this Rakdos player has. Because we could kind of get saved by them. But we'll see. That's not exactly promising. And I feel like this Rakdos player is going to play super conservatively here. Let's see. Yeah. Why? He doesn't have any flying blockers. Okay, well, at least he's triggering some Annihilator. Do we trade the Archfiend here? I don't want to do that at all. I don't know why he attacked me with Rakdos. None of this guy's creatures have flying. Like, I mean, these two do, but they're tapped. Like, I don't really get it. Like, that feels really bad, but I can't just leave it. Like, we're at such low health right now. For Commander, at least. Well, at least we'll get some Blood Chief Ascension triggers here. I don't really think this person kind of calculated that. I don't think they thought I would trade. Yay, life. I mean, this vampire guy had to sack 2 permanents to Annihilator, so that's kind of nice. And then the block's just not working out well for this person also gave us some more life, so... Could be worse. We can start drawing some cards off Endbringer now at least too, so... Faithless Looting. Oh, they still get the... Oh, they got the Belbe mana, that's why... Yeah. I was like, how did they get the Rakdos mana? But they don't get mana from Rakdos, they get a cost reduction. Works for us. Faithless Looting gives us a whole bunch of life, because they put 3 cards in their graveyard. Hey, we're in this. We didn't lose first, and it looks like we're not going to lose second. But we kind of... I mean, not that we're going to survive this vampire guy's turn. Because what, these guys are going to hit me for 18. And I'm pretty sure he can play his commander too, so... That's that. Maybe he was faking me out with Rakdos because he expected me to block one of these guys, but... I don't know. That felt like the right trade to get more triggers off Blood Chief Ascension. We'll see. Does Edgar Markov have flying? That's the real question. First strike and haste. Okay. And there's no trample. So I think even if he attacks me all out, it's not... Okay, so but he's not playing any creatures this turn. So I'm not optimistic, but... Okay, now he is. But at least he's not attacking with... So we could be eating 10 damage here? Because the rest don't have flying. And it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so... We should survive. Because he's tapped out. So I don't know what else he would do here to buff his dudes. So... Yeah, his plan is just to kill them. And then he's just going to pick on me a little bit. Which is pretty expected. I'm obviously going to block the... no, I might have to give up Oblivion Sower. Okay, Endbringer's going to block the plant because we want to keep Endbringer. That guy. That guy. And one of those guys. So this guy's getting through for 8. I think I'm okay with that. Just I don't know, just to keep Endbringer out of the way of harm. This way we take 8 damage from this guy, but we block the rest. Does this guy have responses? No, he's just dead. Okay. Now we get even less mana with Belbe too, because we only have one opponent. That is like the only real issue with the strategy we have around this, is just that like you kind of get to go, or you have the potential to go off really hard at the start, but then it can really go south on you quickly. Okay, so let's try to find an answer. That's not really an answer. Because he's gaining so much life. GG. To the person who just died. Surprisingly low action out of a Rakdos deck. Usually those either like they don't get to do anything, or they go nuts right off the bat. So I'm just ensuring we get a bit of mana kick here, because we need the neutral mana to... Oh, I guess we can't Endbringer until the next turn anyway. What are we going to do here? I think we just lose. Well, let's give him the win at least. We become the monarch. Maybe we'll draw some crazy instant that saves us. I don't know what that would be, but yeah, it's not Path of Ancestry, so yeah, we'll give him the win. He fought for it. Okay, so this isn't exactly what we wanted. I mean, considering our start was really slow, I'm still pretty happy with how this deck performs. But we really didn't, like, we had the potential for the nuts draw, and we didn't quite get it. So I'm still gonna hunt for that until we actually get it. But still pretty happy with the overall performance. I mean, it's really fun playing these like 6-drop Eldrazi guys off of Belbe's ability, but okay, do you really need to just kill me? I'm giving you the chance. He's playing Drawn of the Last Blood Chief. Also, I made that comment about the fetch land and this being like a high budget deck. Well, I'm sure it's not like the cheapest deck ever. It's definitely not like a high budget deck. This seems like a very fair deck. And we can't possibly block the flying damage anyway, so who should we give the thing to? Sure, we'll give it to the winner. He won fair and square. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Keep checking out the other games. Hopefully our next game we'll get like the absolute nuts draw, and we'll get to drop like a Oblivion Sower or whatever on turn 2. That'd be sweet. But and I'm gonna absolutely hunt for that win. But if you're interested, check out the other videos. And if you have any comments or want me to try out any decks or commanders or build decks around non-legendary cards, I'm all for it. Just leave it in the comments, right? Have a good one.